Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about trust and earning it. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, as when you're working in a new team, how would you earn your team's trust? Well, usually it depends on the team. So the problem is, for me, usually is that I earn trust really well if I'm in the right team. I don't earn trust at all, and I create a lot of frustration if I'm in the wrong team usually. And I'll sort of explain why, and sort of why I'll give you the secret sauce tip is usually how to do this, at least from what I can see, and the stuff that usually works, and then I'll give you sort of the reason why I don't always have an easy time doing that. So the magic sauce recipe to earn trust in a team is to do two things exactly, and that is to be dependable, in other words, produce results and like meet the expectations of whoever you're talking to. And number two is just never get in anybody's way and be agreeable at all times. These two things are it's the magic sauce, because you can't really control to what level people trust you, but if you provide these two things, every single person on this planet will find you to be at least acceptable to have on their team. And some people that sometimes you're going to meet teams where, guys, might have this big idea that you're going to be like friends, so you have these connections and so forth. It's never going to happen because the people that you have around you are not interested in that. For example, or they have personalities that are so vastly different, or like you are, they are on the shy spectrum, introverted spectrum, or the like I don't give a fuck spectrum, etc., etc. They're sort of just here to do a job and they don't really give a fuck. And so you can't really do much more. And the trust that they will give you is literally they will not, care if you fuck up, maybe, or they might not report you to a manager, but you're basically nothing to them. If you quit tomorrow, they won't care. And so the earning of trust is actually that, in my opinion, at the very least, that simple. I've never seen this not happen, because it's the foundation of most professional relationships. If you're dependable and you don't get in anybody's way, which is like that's the secret recipe for basically everything. If you're a manager, if you want your life on easy street as a manager, just never ever ever have an opinion about what your employees are doing. They're gonna love you for it, usually. Because it's when you have opinions and you manage people where you start creating friction. Because not all people, in general, people have an issue with other people telling them their business or coming with direction or like directing in any way. In many cases, like some people want to, of course, like they're accepted being directed, but it's usually the area where friction happens. Now, that's the silver bullet. You can take that to the bank. Basically, it's actually a very simple thing. Now, this way that I usually build trust, which usually has in my opinion, it has a potential to be a greater level of trust. So this silver bullet thing, it's going to give you a base level for basic. It's going to work in every single situation, but you will never really, depending on social skills and so forth, you will never really get to a point where you can make a really meaningful connection with someone, or you're never really going to be someone who stands out with that approach. And this is the problem with having my approach, which is that my approach is usually that I try to be as transparent as humanly possible. The reason why people usually grow, like the dependability and so forth, absolutely, that is important. And having some mediocre social graces, I would like to credit myself with having some of that. But the main thing is that you have this, that you generally engage with the work, that you show your passion and interest within the subject that you are dealing with, that you show the fire in your eyes, and that you are genuine about who you are and what you want. If you're a straight shooter and you can pull this off, that usually breathes life into other people. And this is the sort of thing that usually raises the morale of other people around you, because you are a person who wants to drive things, who wants to be involved, who wants to see things go well. You have a hunger, you have an interest, and you're genuine about it, and you're sort of like that authenticity is something that is addictive to basically every human on the planet, I would argue. I've never seen, usually the thing that we shun are people who we perceive as being fake, but the people we usually trust and really connect with are the people who we feel are authentic and genuine. That's usually that's the secret sauce thing. The problem with this is that when this happens, it basically puts you in a situation where if you are in especially if you have like a DS, or if you're if you're an overachiever or something like that, the problem with this is that this is not necessarily the way forward with a lot of people. Because to a lot of people, as I've said before, guys, a lot of people are just doing this as a job. They don't really give a shit about how things turn out for the project. They just want to clock in, take their paycheck, do their thing, etc., etc. And so they're not really in a state where they're open to healthy debate on topics, or like collaboration, or going the extra mile, or getting feedback on things that they could improve, etc., etc. You're getting in their business. You're breaking rule number one when you want to be agreeable with the average person, which is that you are now an awareness. They are aware of your existence. You are doing things that are disrupting them, and if they want that, if they crave collaboration, all these sort of things, you will make very meaningful and healthy relationships, and many times create friends. But if they don't want that, you're going to create some pissed off people. And trust me, I've been here many times. Because that is what the risk that you take whenever you try to do something that you perceive, like when you try to move something around. It's when you stir the pot, if you do anything like that, as soon as you do that, you run that risk. And so, to me, I've always found that to balance to be very difficult. I've never really been good at it, honest to God, because I usually end up pissing somebody off at one point or another. The funny thing is that it usually doesn't happen with the people that I would like to say these are like the best people that I've ever worked with. It is really common. It happens all the time with the people who are either underachievers or they really don't do a great job within the environment, because I inherently someone who wants to overachieve and actually do really well. And so I usually clash with people where I have an issue because I will tell a person in the nicest way I can possibly tell them that, yeah, I see what this is about, I understand how these things are going, but I suggest that we go in this direction. It takes you can wrap it in as much silk as you want, but if you don't agree with another person, especially as I said, if there's a mismatch in perspective or talent, or call it whatever, you can call it whatever you want, you don't agree with someone, and unless you are on that same wavelength, some people are very sensitive to this sort of criticism. It doesn't matter if you're right. Trust me, I've been in many situations where I can prove that I was right. It's been the case that I'm right. It doesn't matter, because the person does not like being questioned. And if you're outspoken like that, this is something that will breed trust with some people, and in some cases it will not. And in many cases you will be told off, or have actually serious problem, actually lose destroy relationships within a group if you are this sort of individual. This is why, as I said, this is a very dangerous path to walk, but when it works, people will follow you through fire, because they will see if you can deliver. As I said, you still have to be able to show that if you're just a loudmouth who just talks and never delivers anything, or has a bunch of opinions and never actually produces something, that's not good. But if you can show people that there's actually merit to the things that you're suggesting, and things are being improved, or you can actually not just talk the talk but walk the walk as well, this is the stuff that makes people really trust you and really want to listen and connect with you. And I've always found that when you can establish something like that in a group, it's the healthiest thing for the group, because they become more than just a bunch of people who sort of sit there and do their own thing. That creates a connection between people, a real connection. So what I want you to take away from this is that earning trust is as easy as, number one, be dependable. People need to know that you know what you're doing and that you sort of produce according to expectations. And number two, be relatable, be agreeable, be someone that people get along with. These are the basics. If you can do this, basically any team will start trusting you to the degree that that it's possible for them to trust you, because people are different. Some people are never gonna like you because it's not about you, it's about them. I've always found that my method, which is to add authenticity and actual passion and so forth, I mean, I couldn't stop it even if I wanted to, so there it is. It's the same thing that is happening on this channel. If you any idea that the channel has been growing for a while now. I mean, I'm not I wouldn't say that it's been growing by a lot or anything like that, but I hope that a general sensation of authenticity and being genuine and so forth had sort of made its way out there. Because I don't start my presentations by explaining to you which fancy IT company I work for or something like that, which is like the norm in every tech talk, right? I even remember making a video where I said that be careful listening to me, because you don't even know if I do software, if I am a software developer. For all you know, I could be working at the supermarket down the street. But something about me most likely connects, it resonates and so forth. And as I said, that is the thing that I liked, that I usually add to a team to build their trust. That works really well with high achievers or people who are passionate or really nerdy about software development. It does not go well with people who are just there to cash in a paycheck. They're sort of they just want to be left alone, etc., etc. It pisses them off to no end, because you're disrupting their peaceful little life where the system might go to absolute shit. They might not actually produce any good results, etc., etc. But that's not a concern usually to individuals like this. And it's of course the same thing happens when that's not the extreme, where you have someone else who has a completely other vision of how to achieve something, and you can't really meet, because the safe bet for most people is always going to be to just agree with whoever else has an idea, because having your own ideas or coming with actual genuine input and sort of standing behind something and representing something is always going to be a risk. But when it works, people will usually think more of you because you did. It's just it can also blow back on you, so be a little bit careful. Have a great day.